praying with the universal law of innocence, truth, and family, with the spider people, the pohaku, the stone people, and also the universal law of perception with the lightning people. And this is to resemble again the example these nations carry for us to learn from us to also receive these parts of ourselves. And so what's the common theme when someone has fires imbalanced within them is overconsumption of external substances, overconsumption of anything outside of them to fill a missing piece within them. And that missing piece is actually directly linked to our creativity. So someone who has a dedication to using and believing that their substance is filling them in whatever way it is, it's actually in replacement of their dedication, which they really want, to their creativity, to their life force energy. It's in balance, but also impractical and quite unresponsible way to utilize this fire of creativity. And it's by suppressing one's creativity. And so this underlining suppression lingers within families, even if you yourself are not an addict, but your dad or your mom or your auntie or your grandpa, and it runs in families, so many families across the world. It's number one direct link that correlates between everyone in the family that it relates to is suppression. So if you are experiencing any sort of suppression in your life, it could be a generational pain, trauma that needs to be healed, that needs to be purified, that needs to be sanctified. And so suppression of fire is also masked for a need for commitment, belonging in oneself, and family and society. So when we don't find ourselves having a place in society, knowing our place within our heart, our soul, our mind, our body, our spirit, then it's easier for us to numb that loneliness, that feeling of isolation and separation through external substances. And so the spider, Unchi Iktomi, is the grandmother who provides protection for the children, family, clan, and community. And the grandmother spider in this way, galactic spider, is very multidimensional in the way that she shapeshifts. And these things that we call upon to show us their example and to help us in these ways, in these spiritual ways, it's not to pray to them once again. It is to recognize the part of us that has the same qualities. So recognizing and receiving the parts of us that are protectors of children, community, clan, women, men. You know, when we're in a space of addiction to suffering, we cannot receive these parts of ourselves, and we oftentimes think that we're less than what we actually are in the eyes of Creator. And so addiction can bring separation from family in the way of being individual and selfishly minded in intention. Okay, and that goes back to this first step in spiritual discernment is within personal intent. And intention to meet unmet needs through familiar cycles of looking outside of oneself. And so that does go in cycles within our generations, whether it be TV or just food. It's still external things outside of us that we indulge in to find identity with in one way or another. And the loneliness we feel, we are treating this addiction through addiction is actually being amplified when we look to external substances to some way feel better and belonging in one way or another. this loneliness amplifies. And the beginning place of protection for us and all beings on this planet is respect. And so, for if you respect others, then your prayers are answered. And there's no way your freedom can be violated when you respect other people, because you see them as a part of you. There is no separation within the perception, and you know your belonging inside of Creator's heart, and you know your identity inside of the eyes of Mother Earth, inside of the eyes of another, because it is your mirror reflection. And when we choose to walk in our personal responsibility, in our choice on what we are connected to, we can then live in authority to our reality, and not just authority, authenticity and accountability for our actions. And in this way, structure can come easily, effortlessly, and be a part of our reality within love and law in a balanced place. And hence, if you are not an addict, but someone in a family line was an addict, even just an addict to suffering, we have to understand this is an addiction of the spirit. So addiction is a spirit. Addiction is created in the mind, in the sense of attachment to outcome, going back to the Tatanka Oyate. And this spirit is the spirit of slumber. Okay, so reflecting back on our last lessons with overconsumption of air, overconsumption of water, overconsumption of external substances, and our next prayer for overconsumption of material objects, this has all to do with the spirit of slumber. And this is the sneakiest spirit that could shapeshift into many different expressions. And this slumber is almost comfortability in stagnicity. This slumber is almost comfortability in cycles that are familiar, because we want routine. And that's where discipline, routine, healthy routine can substitute that desire for security. And the potential of addicts to achieve and create with a safe place to do this, to really embody their creativity, is truly God sent. So wherever people go to remember the flame, the Chante Ishtampeta, the fire of the heart, these places are gifts. And one of those places is actually Big Island, where the fire is here, the lava is present, and people who want to evolve and want to change and are actually from the stars, they learn a little bit about structure here through the fire's embrace, through the fire's purification and sanctification. And it is truly the gift of building and fire to create goes unmet due to the spirit of slumber. Okay, and so they say addictions also run in families, but addiction in families is considered a generational curse. And there are so many normalized addictions, considering TV consumption, phone consumption, and food consumption, etc. Overconsumption of external context of any kind most definitely is the desire for presence. Okay, interpresence of beauty and medicine within. To decolonize the mind of the rat race, you must desire to respect yourself, the family, and clan. Okay, we must see ourselves a part of the greater whole. And so with this exercise, to see yourself as a part of the greater whole, not just within the family unit, because we could be a black sheep in the family unit, but as a part of nature, and recognizing the parts of nature that live within us. And a really great backbone when it comes to the pohaku and the fire is the spine. So how is it that you're going to receive the medicine of your spine is working with stones